I promised my 21-year-old that I would make a video on this subject. So B, this is me keeping my promise to you. Usually when my adult children who are 23, 21, and 18, I also have a 15-year-old, when they come to me and they're like, Mom, you should talk about this thing. Either it is a subject that they are going to educate me about because they know far more than I do, or it is a subject that I now have the opportunity to go all the way down the rabbit hole and explore more for myself, or they're helping me make a connection that I didn't really see. And in this instance, B was like, Mom, I want you to make a video about Michel Foucault and flock cameras. And I was like, oh, I have not read Foucault since college. I didn't even think about why hadn't I drawn that connection? I said in the video where she and I had gone to the UK, she's still there, and I came back home, that I was really startled by how surveillance cameras are everywhere in the UK. Like, you're just supposed to accept that you are being recorded and filmed everywhere you go. There is no expectation of privacy. Like, I just want to wander down the street and like pick the wedgie out of my shorts. I want to be able to have a private conversation with somebody in a public park. Look, whatever you want to do, you want to just live your life, right? And in the UK, I was shocked at the amount of surveillance cameras. And so much of that is being normalized here in the United States. What has been done in the UK, Flock is trying to do here. Peter Thiel is trying to do here. All of these massive data centers are not for ChatGPT, you guys. They are for government surveillance, not just surveilling what you do in real life, right? What you do out and about in your community, where you should have an expectation of privacy. Private citizens, public officials. Public officials have no expectation of privacy when they are doing their jobs, right? But private citizens should have an expectation of privacy when we are just trying to fucking live our lives. But that's not profitable, right? Our data, the mapping of where we go throughout the week, our shopping behaviors online, what websites we visit. COSA is not about protecting children. It is about monitoring what you, an adult, do on the internet in the privacy of your home, in your own fucking time, minding your own fucking business. The government wants to be all up in your business. Fuck you, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, for supporting COSA. All of these acts that claim they're about protecting children, it's never been about protecting children. They do not protect children from online predators. What they do is allow Peter Thiel to surveil you. Private corporations and a fascist government want to have access to all of your data, all of your behavior. They want to have a dossier on you so that they can track you easily and so that they can put together patterns of what you're doing. They want all of that information at their fingertips, and they want it stored in these massive data centers in our backyard. You might say, like, why do they want to do that? Well, this gets us back to Foucault, right? Because he said that there was a shift in the way that those in power control us in a society. There was a shift away from violent public punishment, right, as a method of social control. You watch somebody getting their, ear nailed to the, post in the public square, or you watch somebody put in the stocks, or you watch somebody who gets, 10 lashes in public or public hangings. That was all meant to be a deterrent to keep people in line. And we saw this shift to private prisons. And therefore, the punishment happened out of sight of the public. We don't see what happens to people living in prisons in the United States, where prisons are a lucrative business. I mean, Core Civic and Geo Group run ICE detention facilities, concentration camps, like our prison system. If you don't think that Americans are enslaved, forced to do slave labor in the United States so that these corporations can profit, go look up the Angola prison in Louisiana, and then tell me that we don't have people enslaved in the United States in this current system that is not about justice. It's not about restorative justice. It's not about rehabilitating folks at all. But Foucault talked about this and how it would create this evolution of a surveillance state where it just needs to be the threat that keeps you compliant. If you are constantly being recorded, it's like the panopticon, right? If you're constantly being surveilled, where you have a circular prison with a tower in the middle, and the guards are all watching you at all times, you're being surveilled, then you are less likely to act up. You're less likely to organize. You're less likely to riot. You're less likely to step out of line. And it is just the threat of punishment. It's the surveillance combined with, we're going to disappear you into a prison system forever that keeps people in line. And I've seen it actually happening in real time in my comments on Blue Sky when we talk about organizing and liberation movements, and I'm talking about how hopeful I am for the future. People say, well, it's impossible to organize now with COSA. It's impossible to, or, programs like it. It's impossible to organize with Palantir, Peter Thiel stealing all of your information. It's impossible to organize with the surveillance state, with the police state, with your rights being violated and your signal chat being ripped off your phone, what have you. And I'm like, no, it's not. See, that's the threat already causing you to submit in advance, already causing you to comply in advance. You are afraid of the cameras. You're afraid of the data set on you. And so you surrender to the state. Which is why I think it's so important to resist the normalization of flock cameras in this country. Now, there's been a lot of vandalism. There's been a lot of folks who are vigorously pushing back against this kind of surveillance state because they understand the severity of it. And I'm not saying anybody should go and vandalize flock cameras. I'm definitely not saying that. There have been folks who will set up with their pole with a mirror on it, and they're just hanging out in their neighborhood, defending their neighbors against having their license plates recorded or their lives recorded for Palantir. And so they just put a little mirror up in front of the flock camera. That's not illegal. As far as I understand it, those people are free to do that. So there are ways that people are pushing back, and any act of resistance is really, really crucial. Refusing to allow the surveillance state to be normalized, really crucial. Any small act of resistance matters. Please don't believe that just because you have not successfully gotten flock out of your community yet, that your refusal to normalize it, to accept it, is not significant. Because when there are a sufficient quantity of people who push back, I think in more than 75 communities so far around the country, flock camera contracts have been canceled. And in a number of those, by the way, if those cameras don't get removed, which are installed improperly, are unsafe, then you have flock attempting to turn the cameras back on, even when municipalities and police departments cancel those contracts. And I've talked about this extensively in the past, all of the cases of police officers misusing flock cameras in order to spy on their ex-wives, on women that they want to date. How you get the surveillance state, you're going to get abuse. When you have the violation of people's privacy rights, when you have no expectation of privacy, those in power will use that to abuse other folks. It's not about justice. It's never been about justice. But I want to add this other layer here that B didn't bring up, but I've been noticing on social media, which is an awful lot of cop behavior. There was a recent video of these two attorneys who were like making out on a park bench, and somebody filmed it and posted it online. And there was huge discourse about it, and they had to apologize publicly. There's been so many instances of like, just let people live, you guys. Let people live. Why is it that we are all turning into cops ourselves? Social media has become full of cop behavior. People filming and posting other people trying to go about their private lives online as if that is content that will get you clicks and earn you revenue. You are no different than the people running the for-profit prison system. You are wanting to profit off of violating people's privacy and engaging in cop behavior when you do that shit. There has been so much of that lately, and I think that we should shame and stigmatize it. It's really fucking creepy to film some guy on the beach, post a video of him and be like, anybody know who this guy is? He was so hunky. Just go up and talk to him. He didn't consent to having his private life posted on the internet for public consumption. And I know I will get people in my comments who are like, there's no expectation of privacy in public. You have a right to film in public. Okay, there's a difference between a right and like... First of all, we can change social norms, but second of all, like, don't be a dick. Don't be a douche in public. Stop being a fucking cop and posting other people's lives on the internet for everybody to see. In the panopticon, there's the tower in the middle, but it's a circular prison so that prisoners are looking across at other prisoners. They get you to surveil your neighbors. It is the normalization of the surveillance state. If you don't like flock cameras, but you are filming strangers or posting voicemails on social media for attention and for profit, then you need to really rethink your priorities.